So tell me, why should anybody invest in land?
Well, land is, my opinion, better than houses.
I did my research before you came on, and you got some haters out there. You got people who's like, oh, he's just another guru trying to sell the course.
Sure.
So what would you say to those guys?
Right. I say to them, if that's what they think, they don't have to go into land.
We say ego, and ego is generally associated with a negative connotation. Like, that person's got a big ego. But you need a strong ego in entrepreneurship to be a business owner. Because if there's one thing that's consistent, is that you're going to screw up, right? You're going to make mistakes almost every single day. So what got you into real estate?
Well, that's a cool setup, by the way, here. What got me into real estate? So I'm from Germany originally.
Okay.
And I came over here in 1997 to finish my college degree. And after you work here, after you go to university or college for 1 year, you get a work permit for 1 year.
Oh.
So I wanted to try it. I also met a girl. Long story short, she's now married to me for 17 years, so it worked out. And we decided to stay here. She's not from here either. She's from Honduras. So Central America. So we decided to stay here, got a job, got working, did the typical kind of thing, like got a job, got a house, got a car, got a bunch of debt. And 5 years later, or 3 years later, I was like in debt up to here, stressed out. And I was like, that really can't be the trajectory of my life right now. I mean, that was what you've been trained for. It's what the world kind of like prepares you for, and what nobody ever questions. But I was like, this is not what I want. And plus, the only job I could get was in an industry that I wasn't an expert in, just because as a college student in Germany, I had some experience in that industry. So that's why I was able to get in there. They were able to sponsor my visa. They were able to get me the green card ultimately and so on. But I was really unhappy, basically. So what got me started in real estate is just being unhappy and not wanting to deal with that for the rest of my life. And it wasn't software consulting kind of thing. I was like, and I don't know anything about software. So I was like the business analyst, basically. I was traveling, being at customer sites, being away from my girlfriend and now wife for long times. And at dinners, I was sitting with guys that the average person around me was doing this for like anywhere between 12 and 25 years. And I was just like, this is not going to be me. I'm not going to be getting on an airplane or in a car on Monday morning, driving or flying a few hours, being somewhere in some cheap hotel, eating hotel food and working till midnight. This is just not going to be it.
All right. So what year did you make the leap?
We made the leap. We tried figuring this out in 1999.
Okay.
But it took us a full 3 years of back and forth, trial and error, because we had little time, little money. To make this kind of work. Didn't know about seminars or things like that, or about courses, about stuff that could accelerate your path. We just tried stuff weren't successful, and then finally at the end of 2002 we were successful, and then it skyrocketed.
Yeah.
But I could only quit my job at the end of 2003 because it took that long to get the green card.
Oh,
so
I see.
basically, when you don't have a green card, you can't just quit, because then you're basically an illegal alien in the country, because you have 60 days to find another job or leave the country. So I needed to stick with my job, built this part-time, and then transition once I had the green card, let go of the job, and that's how we did it.
Okay, so you did it 2003. What was the first thing what was the first wholesale deal or real estate deal that you did?
That we successfully did, that was a little piece of land in northern Arizona, in a little town called Snowflake, Arizona. And you might know that. And
Famous for a movie.
Is it? I didn't know.
Yeah, Fire in the Sky.
Okay, well, didn't know that.
Don't watch it. It's creepy.
Is it creepy? Yeah, I mean, that town is, it's not creepy, but it's actually quaint. But anyway, it was a 1 acre lot, or about something like an acre, half an acre, so I don't remember exactly anymore. But it's a lot with a house next door and a house across the street. And for whatever reason, the seller didn't want it anymore. He was getting to a divorce. He was moving to Colorado. He was just leaving. He wanted to leave like with a clean slate. He didn't want to leave anything behind in Arizona. So it's kind of garage sale mentality, right? He just wanted to get rid of the thing. Wasn't any use to him. Just sucked property taxes out of his pocket. And he gave it to us for $400.
Wow.
Now it's just a piece of land, no house on it, right?
Still $400.
But I figured I kind of did a little comp analysis, and I saw other properties in the area should be kind of worth like $8,000 to $10,000. So it's like, right, $400, $8,000 to $10,000. I mean, what can go wrong, really? I mean, in honesty, nothing can go wrong, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like the worst case scenario, somebody pays me $500 for it.
Yeah.
But then literally the guy from across the street came over and right on the spot offered me $4,000 for it, $4,000 on it, and I took that. I didn't even negotiate. I just like, I'll take it. Got a deal. Because I was smiling up till here, and I was like super excited. Because,
no poker face yet.
No poker face. I mean, I had no experience.
All right.
Like no experience with real estate whatsoever. I didn't even know the language of real estate. Like.
So how did you find that particular property?
We did find that through direct mail. The first time we ever wrote letters, we got one guy calling us. But he owed more in property taxes than the thing was worth. We're like, okay, well, that didn't work.
Yeah.
Well, probably most people would have given up, but to me, that was actually a positive thing because like, oh my God, somebody answered.
Right.
So I was excited that somebody answered. So I was like, let's do this again, but let's tweak it. And finally, when we got the letter right, we got responses. And this was one of the guy that responded. He owed some property taxes, like $300, and we paid him $100. So the total was like $400. He didn't want it anymore. He had paid like a couple of years before, stopped paying property taxes. He just wanted to move to Colorado, and he responded. He accepted our offer, and the rest is history.
So you're known as the land guy,
right?
And most people are like, hey, Steve, you know anything about land? Like, nope, no interest in it. It's too hard to move. So tell me, why should anybody invest in land?
Well, land is, my opinion, better than houses, and that's for many, many, many reasons. So number one, if you pick the right kind of land, it actually moves very quickly.
Yeah.
Right. Secondly, we just sold 2 weeks ago. We sold the property that we bought for $8,000. We sold it for $47,000. Right. And then the guy wanted the property next door too. So it's like, okay, take it too. So that's now what is it, $94,000 total? Yeah. And for properties we paid $16,000 for. Yeah. Like, I'll take that any day of the week.
Yeah.
But the reasons why land is better is that first, I say jokingly, there's none of what I call the 3 T's. There's no tenants, there's no toilets, there's no termites. But it really means much more. What it means is that there's no mortgages. Because usually the land we focus on is below $100,000, and most of this land is free and clear, because banks don't lend on land usually, on that kind of land, on that price point land. So the owners have owned it usually decades, free and clear, so you're not dealing with a mortgage. Then there's no foundation issues. There's no plumbing repairs. There's no mold. There's no inspectors. There's no appraisers. There's no roof damages. There's no foundation repairs. There's none of these things that you typically have to deal with houses. Now, I'm not saying houses are bad, right? Right. You're in the house world. I wouldn't come here and say that.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I own over 40 rental houses myself. Okay. I own 3 apartment complexes, adding up to 340 doors.
Wow. Okay.
So I own improved property. I own commercial properties. I own a car repair facility. I own all kinds of stuff that all pays cash flow. But my first love is the land, because in land you literally can, because it's land, you don't even have to go see it. Because it's been enhanced for a lot of time, and the people who own it, they have to pay property taxes. Some of them don't want to pay that anymore, or they're sick and tired of it. Now, earlier I said that we went after tax delinquent ones. We also realized that over time that 80% of our deals come from people who are diligently paying their property taxes. So it's not a tax delinquent technique that we're using. That's just how we got into it. But now, 80-90% of our deals are free and clear.
So how do you target those?
And so how we target those, we go get lists from a list service or from the county. I like to personally go to the county. But when people get started, a lot of our students, when they get started, they go to a list service first. And then they go get a smaller list in the county. And what we do is we get, like, let's say a list of 1,000 records. And then we have some criteria that we filter it by. Like, for example, if you're in the outskirts of town, we focus on kind of 3 kinds of land. The infill lots in the city, that we sell to builders. Lots in the outskirts of town, just like in a few miles right where the city ends. And a third one, larger acreage, more recreational land in the rural areas. But if you go in the outskirts of town, usually there's properties they're anywhere like from 1 to 10 acres in size, right? So if you're 3-4 miles out there, you probably don't want to buy a quarter acre. You want to buy an acre, 2 acres, 3 acres.
Yeah.
Because those are only worth like, let's say, $20,000 an acre, versus 5 miles over in the city, it's worth $300,000 an acre. So you can so these are very attractive to like to financial investors that just want to buy something and wait for the city to approach because they're in the path of growth, and so on. So we go get lists, we filter them down by kind of how long they've owned it, what the size of the property is, what the value is, and so on. And then we send them that piece of direct mail that worked, and that we since then, over the last 4,000 deals, we have tweaked it and tweaked it and tweaked it and then split tested and made it better and better and better.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Very interesting. I did my research before you came on, and you got some haters out there. You got people like, oh, he's just another guru trying to sell a course.
Sure.
So what would you say to those guys?
Right. I say to them, if that's what they think, they don't have to go into land. But I would want to say at the same time that probably our success rate is about a minimum of 10 times higher than any of the house guys out there right now.
Who is helping you find the land? How are you guys finding the land? Who's meeting with the homeowner, or not the homeowner, landowners? Like, how does that all operation work?
I love the question. Can I answer the last one first?
Sure.
Who is meeting with the landowners? Nobody. And that's the nice part. Nobody. Nobody's meeting with the owners. Nobody's meeting with the buyers. It all happens to be at direct mail, telephone, and online.
Okay.
That's why literally I'm working from home. We virtualized our entire office. We don't even have an office. We have a little one of these Regis office spaces. We have a little office suite where we have some files in there, and my assistant goes there to work. But other than that, there's nothing. And we have people all over the country doing work. So how do we do that? So we do things because we have the financial ability. We're blessed with the success of our business to have the financial ability to just buy these lots. The way we do it is that we have buying and selling seasons. So right now we're in a selling season. We're just selling the heck out of properties. Our goal is to sell 180 properties in the next 6 months. And then once those 6 months are over and we sold those 180 properties, or the majority of them, then we're going to turn the ship around, and everyone in our team will help us buy properties. So our team basically puts 2 hats on, but our students usually, they do it more like that they buy and sell in parallel, right? Because most of the students don't sit on larger piles of cash, or they build it up over time. And once they build it up, then they might switch to our model.
Their cycle is a little bit smaller.
Yeah, the cycle is smaller, shorter, exactly.
Yeah.
So we have 1.5 people that are land sales people. So one does a part-time, one full-time. We have a person that helps with the analysis of these properties, because when the deals come in, when we send out letters, here's the process just in a few words. We identify a county that we want to go after, let's say a county just outside of a bigger city. We get a list from the county or from a list service. We filter it down based on some criteria. We send out some letters, and let's say you send out a testing of 500 letters. We typically get about a 4 to 15% response rate on these letters.
Really?
Yes,
wow, that's really
way
good.
Higher than in the house side. Another reason why land is better. We're getting a huge response rate. Typically, we have a call center. We use a call center that we've built a relationship with over time, that now lots of our students are using too. And they take the phone calls. We developed a software that we make available for students, that the call center can plug the leads right into the software. So we build an integration there, right into the software. So they wake up in the morning, they have 10 more people that called. They need to then do a little bit deal analysis, so analyze what the property is worth and so on, but just ballpark, because we're making 10 cents on a dollar offer. It's okay to be a little bit off.
Right.
And then we make these offers. And then once we have the offers accepted, we go sell the property. Right? That's it. In a nutshell, that's it. So of course there's some more steps behind the thing, and yes, there's some work involved. So I'm different than all the other gurus. I'm not telling you there's no work, but in our team, we have a mailing house that sends out the letters. So I tell my team which counties we're going to go for. Then we have access to that. We go get the list from a county, and then we have a guy somewhere in the Philippines or so that filters that list and scrubs that list for us in the way we want to. Then we go use the mailing house to send out the letters. Lots of our students use that same mailing house too. They have the nice part is that they have a minimum of only 50 letters.
Wow, that's really low.
Yeah, exactly. Usually they have like 10,000 or something like that.
Yeah.
This is one they're really customized. Of course, if you send 50, it's a little more expensive.
Naturally.
But starting at 700, it really drops massively. So we said take like 1,000, 2,000 letters, send them out. The call center takes the calls, drops them into our system. Then we have somebody in our team full time that goes in and analyzes these deals and puts in all the data pieces of what they think it's worth, like links to the county and thing, and links to the property and comparables and stuff like that. And then I look at it. That's the piece that to this day I do myself. I look at it, and if I'm already familiar with the area, making offers is like very simple because you know, oh, this is the XYZ subdivision. I know they're worth 20 grand. I know they're getting a $3,000 offer. Done, right? So you go like 3,000, 3,000, 3,000, 3,000. Make the offers, move on. And then once that is done, another team member of us goes, prints out, produces the offers, which our software literally, you press a button and the offers come right out. They're automatic mail merge and everything. The offers come out and they mail them out, and then we wait. Because we don't do this on the phone, we don't do this thing, there's no urgency. So if somebody calls, like in the house, I always like to say, in the house world, if somebody calls you today and says like, I want to sell you the house, you probably would almost have to get up and run out of the door here.
And be there in 5 minutes.
And be there in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
We don't talk to our sellers. We only make offers once a week. And because we know that in the meantime, the chances that somebody else is going to make them an offer in that same time is almost zero.
So you're mailing offers. You're not even calling to present offers.
No, I'm calling. We're sending them letters, giving them 10 days to accept the offer because it takes like 3-4 days to get there. They might have to discuss it with the kids. So it's all a no pressure, low pressure thing. And then they send them back, and usually for one between every 20 to 35 kind of offers that we send out, we get a deal accepted. But again, if you think about it, you send 1,000 letters, you might get 100 phone calls. There should be already 3 to 4 deals in there on average.
Wow.
Right. So you get those accepted, and then you go, and again, on average, sometimes you might send out 3,000 and you get nothing, and then the next 1,000 there's 10 deals. And sometimes in the first 20 there's a deal. So it average. But if your average is over a large number, our typical student gets a deal for every 300 to 500 letters they send out.
Thank you guys for watching, and thank you. This was
Thank you very much.
It was a great education.
Thank you.
If you look back, let's go that way for just a second. If you look back into all the things that you've done right now, and all the things that you started, that you shut down, that you put energy in, that you take energy out, that you currently spend energy in, is there something that stands out as kind of a success recipe for it, or a recipe not just for success but also for fulfillment?
So I will take two different things, right? So the fulfillment I'll do second. So the first thing is it takes a lot of grit, right?
Right.
We say ego, and ego is generally associated with a negative connotation. Like that person's got a big ego. But you need a strong ego in entrepreneurship to be a business owner. Because if there's one thing that's consistent, is that you're going to screw up, right? You're going to make mistakes almost every single day, right? You're going to say something maybe you didn't give enough thought, and you might have said something carelessly, right? Or you say, guys, this is what we're going to do. This is the future, and it's completely wrong, right? We're going to go after this.
It happened to us.
Yeah, we're going to go after this account. Doesn't work out, right? They already committed to somebody else. So there are no shortages of failures. And so, being able to start, fail, try again, recalibrate, I think it takes a good amount of grit and be able to handle adversity. So I think that's the first thing. That if there's anything, I can teach or preach on, is that. Second thing, fulfillment. I love watching people win. When I started, it was all about me, right? How can I live the life that I want, right? And that was pretty consistent until I started my brokerage. And when I started my brokerage is when the first time I started bringing people in and helping them with their businesses. And once I saw people winning, right? You bring in people that are making $30,000 a year as a server, and they walk out making $300,000 a year. That feels really good. So for me, talking about the sales training, it's impactful for me because I see people's lives changing. So for fulfillment,
there might have been something good about after all about the brokerage, right?
Lots of good things happen with the brokerage.
It changed your outlook on how you want to operate in business and life, right?
Yeah, it was what's that Scrooge, right? It's Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
Right. I had that was my Christmas Carol moment, but I didn't have to become a realtor, right? Like eventually I would have figured that out.
Right.
Being a realtor was still not the right decision. And then, as a final message, one thing I've been preaching on is I talk about create 100 millionaires. And Elias on my team challenged me, like, why 100 millionaires? And it took me a while to figure this out. But, a lot of what I do is I want to preach the gospel of entrepreneurship and capitalism. I don't know exactly when it happened, but sometime in the last 12 to 15 years, profit became a bad word, right? I don't know why, but it did. And, you see how much good we can do when we are successful, right? I have, my grandparents fled communism in China, right? So my grandparents fled, they had everything taken, they fled to Vietnam, and they rebuilt everything, had a good life again. And then communism took over again, and they lost everything again, right? So we see what happens when you want equality of outcome for everybody, right? And so for me, one of the things that really drives me is, on top of fulfillment and helping other people, is just get everyone that, is into personal development and listening to podcasts such as these, is like to have no shame in being an entrepreneur and being a capitalist, because good things happen when we are successful.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree with that more. Like, it's by now a little chewed out, but it's like they said, like, money doesn't change your character. Money shows your character.
It reveals it.
Yeah, and it enlarges it. So if you're a good person, you can do more good with it. And
absolutely.
if you're a bad person, well, then you do some shady stuff with it.
Yeah, right? Unfortunately, you do bad things with it.
Yeah. So, but I'm glad you're here. I wish you nothing but further success. Give us a couple of things about how people can reach you.
Yeah, so Real Estate Disruptors is our podcast. You can find it on YouTube, iTunes, or Spotify.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.